A Christian pastor just got endorsed by a witch on a podcast on witchcraft.
Wilson is your last name.
Kevin Spencer Wilson.
And everybody knows you for Chai Guy.
The more I made tea, the more I realized, man, there's just so much more to this simple drink. Sometimes you can't even measure the most important things. Out of just sheer desperation, I was just like, all right, God, like if you exist, pay my way through school, theology school, and I wanted to fit in so bad. Sometimes there's no hate like Christian love. I went from like not knowing what I was supposed to do after high school to getting on a plane and landing in Dallas International Airport. My grandfather was a Kanakapale. And for the longest time, the story that I told myself was that all these particularities are liabilities and not assets. He asked me a question. He's like, hey, Kevin, what does it mean to be Sri Lankan? I'm still hurt by the way this country has treated groups of people. When they see me be proud of the fact that I'm Sri Lankan, it's almost like, what are you doing? A lot of people are like, wait, you're Sri Lankan. Why do you call it chai? You're supposed to call it tetani or te. The reason for this is
Kevin Wilson, welcome to the podcast.
so happy to be here, man.
Dude, I'm so glad you're here. I can't believe like this is a thing. This is actually happening in real life.
100%. Like I've seen you, online, and I'm like, wait, there's another Sri Lankan guy with long hair. Like, okay, let's go for it.
Dude, that's exactly somebody sent me your profile. They were like, hey, have you seen this guy? I was like, oh my God, that's exactly like me. It's crazy. That's awesome. And we're both stateside part-time of the year. That's pretty cool. That's
right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wilson is your last name.
It is.
Is that your real name?
Bro, it absolutely is. And I cannot tell you how many times I've been asked.
Yeah.
I mean, I have the widest name for a guy who looks like me, right? Like, I mean, I wish I had like a Rana Singer right there. It'll like change everything.
Hey, Raja Singer.
I'm so sorry. My bad. Raja Singer. I'm so
Raja.
sorry. Raja Singer.
Yeah.
I stand corrected.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, Kevin Spencer Wilson.
Wow.
That's like my name. Yeah. I guess the story that I tell people is the short version is it's colonization, like back in
Right.
My grandfather, who was one of the people bought by the British to work in the tea plantation. And so there was this whole Anglicization that happened, and so they changed the names. And so my dad's name is Wilson Matthew, and so and for some reason he gave his first name as my last name, so Kevin Spencer Wilson.
Do you ever have fun with it? Like when somebody like in the US is like, so you have Wilson in your name? Yeah, because of you.
Yeah, because you exist. I've had to change everything about my name. It's like my name is too long, I can't pronounce it. So Kevin will suffice.
Yeah.
No, that's crazy, bro.
That's wild. So you grew up here in Sri Lanka.
Yeah, I was born in Sri Lanka.
Okay.
I was born in Kandy.
Okay.
Yeah, born in Kandy, lived here till I was 12 years old, and then I moved to Oman. So,
okay.
Yeah, my mom at the time was working in Oman as a nurse, and so she just worked all the papers out and figured out all the immigration stuff, and so she was able to take my dad, my sister, myself when I was 12 to Oman. So I was in Oman from 13 till about 18.
Yeah,
and then I went to the States for college after that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What you why did you want to go to the States of all countries for your future studies? Yeah,
that's the thing, man. So I actually there was no plans to go to the States. But at the time, I think it was back in 2005, my parents applied for the DV1 lottery program in the United States.
Yep.
And for those of you are unaware of that, it's this. It was a program created by the U.S. government to get more immigrants really to the country to help in their workforce. Mm-hmm. So it was a lottery system. So our family applied for it, and then in 2007. My application gets picked. So the way that this thing works is even if you apply as a family, your application gets considered as single applications.
Okay.
Which means that your mom's application gets picked, but your dad's won't.
Oh.
Potentially.
Okay.
And so out of the four of us, I got picked. I get to go through an interview process in the U.S. Embassy in Oman. And then, within like 48 hours, I got a visa, the DV1 visa to go to the States. So I went from like not knowing what I was supposed to do after high school, getting on a plane, and on October 28, 2008, and landing in Dallas International Airport in Virginia.
Yeah.
And so, that's when the whole thing started.
Yeah. So. Okay, so you get to Dallas, and then what? So you're doing your studies, you finish college.
Well, not quite. So I was planning to apply to flight schools, aviation schools, because that's what I wanted to be since I was a little kid. And so I applied to all the aviation schools. I got rejected by all of them. and I was just kind of in a deep dark rut and trying to figure out what to do with my life.
Right.
And so it was then that kind of had like a kind of, I don't know, maybe it's called a spiritual awakening. I grew up as a Christian, and my fondest earliest memories of my childhood was me doing stuff at church, preaching and doing all that stuff. And so I remember my parents and my people from my church telling me, "Oh, you should be a pastor. You should do that." I was like, "Nah, it's not me." But out of just sheer desperation, I was just like, "All right, God, like if you exist, and I know you are, just give me my way through, pay my way through school, theology school, seminary school." And so then, yeah, long story short, get into a theology program in Michigan and start my journey as a theology student. Yeah, so that's what happened, and then the rest was history. We can get into that more.
You landed in the Midwest. That's amazing.
Yeah,
I love it out there.
Yeah.
It's great farmland.
Mhm.
So all of this happens, right? And then you start to make a cup. Is it right to say cup of chai?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Okay, cup of chai.
yeah.
So you start to make cup of chai, and everybody knows you for, the chai guy, like the guy that makes chai on Instagram and TikTok, and you blow up like super fast, like during COVID, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And I see your stuff, and we were joking around. People were like, "Dude, there's another guy, long hair, great looking, good looking curls. Look at him make chai." I was like, "Let's go, Brown represent."
Let's go. Let's go. Yeah, that was wild. So there was a whole life to me before the whole chai thing. The chai thing all blew up in, like, I would say mid 2020.
Mm-hmm.
But ever since I was 12 years old, I've always enjoyed the process of externalizing my thoughts through creative work. So we find some commonality there. I just loved making stuff and posting online. Started off with a blog.
Nice.
I used to, Tumblr, if you remember those days. Yeah. Facebook posts, back in the day when Facebook was like almost like a blog site.
Facebook posts is still a thing.
It's still a thing. It's still a thing. But yeah, Tumblr and all that stuff. And so at a WordPress. And then I got into video. Loved it. Fell in love with video. And so, yeah, in 2020, I decided, hey, let me just document my chai making process and post it on TikTok.
Who taught you how to make chai?
Okay, so here's where we need to unpack a couple of things.
Yeah.
Here, because a lot of people are like, wait, you're Sri Lankan. Why do you call it chai? Like you're supposed to call it tetani or te or tea, right? Because I grew up in Sri Lanka. Well, we call it te here. We don't call it chai here.
Yeah.
And so how did that even happen?
Yeah.
So people are like, you're a sellout. Like, you should be like Sri Lankan, more Sri Lankan, whatever. The reason for this is of my experience in Oman. In the Middle East. So between 12 and 18 years, I was in Oman. And Oman is just a country filled with so many different people from all over the world.
Right.
So I had Indians, Pakistanis, Bangladeshis, just all the SARC countries, all like in my class. And then in Oman, they also drink their own chai. They call it karak chai, which is like really strong chai.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I grew up and I loved the spiced milk teas. Growing up, my dad always used to make me a cup of tea in the morning, cup of tetani in Tamil, we call it. Yeah. And so I was used to that. Yeah. But I just loved the addition of, the cardamom and the cinnamon and the cloves. It's like, oh, this is lovely. So when I came to the States, I started to make that. Kind of as a way to connect to my roots, really. I was like, man, I want to, being by myself in the States, no family, no, new friends. Just I wanted something to connect to my home, and so I would make it to my friends, but I would never document it. But in 2020, that changed. When I documented it, it was a very bad video. I still have it, and I put it on TikTok. At the time, TikTok was a thing. People were just like talking about this new app that was just taking over the States and the whole world by storm. I was like, let me just try what happens. And then within 24 hours, that thing blew up, and people said like, oh, wait, I thought this was like a powder from Starbucks. What do you do? What is this? Like, what is all this spices? Like, what is that? Is that cardamom? What is that? So all these questions, and I legitimately started to answer people's questions. Yeah. But if you look, the first couple of videos though in my TikTok channel was not about tea. It was actually like more devotional content. Right. Because I was a pastor, like at the time, I was a pastor at a local church. And so I would just have like these motivational messages, things to just connect with people, just give them hope and meaning in a tough world. COVID was happening, and so I was like, hey, people need some hope and healing. And then I was like, hey, let's just make some tea together. And then that's when the floodgates start to open. Yeah. We can talk more about how that whole journey evolved, but that's when it started.
That's interesting. I feel like sometimes you just need to bridge like your experiences together, and then when you do that, like your experience of chai and pastoral setting, you brought those two together for some reason. Like that combination tends to blow up very easily. Like when it's your own experiences, like personal experiences, when you bring that on socials, I feel like people sense that authenticity,
100%.
and that's what really tends to get people to engage and be like, oh, I'd love to know more about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I really do think the comment of people think that it's a Starbucks flavor is hilarious. That is funny. So
Yeah.
so chai. So you did learn everything in Oman. You learned how to make chai in Oman.
Yeah, so I learned how to make chai in Oman, but it was more of like I took stuff from my Sri Lankan upbringing. I took stuff from my time in Oman. I did some research. Just all of that, culminated in me just falling in love with this beverage.
Mm-hmm.
And the more I made tea, the more I realized, man, there's just so much more to this simple drink. And that's when I started getting into the history of it.
Right.
And so I started to learn more. And then I also learned a little bit more about my grandfather's history too.
Yeah.
So, mentioned this earlier, my grandfather was a Kanakapalai in a tea plantation.
What is that? Explain.
So a Kanakapalai in Tamil means an accountant. That's kind of what it means. But essentially what his role was in the tea plantation was to measure the leaves that were coming from the plantations, the weight. So he was basically quality control in the fields. And so he was the person who makes sure everything's good, the weights are good, the leaves are in good quality before they actually go into the factory. And it's a very prestigious position. It's an important position. And one of his main responsibilities was to measure and check the quality of the tea leaves, the 2 leaves and a bud that comes from the fields.
Because that's tea.
Yeah, that's tea.
2 leaves and a bud.
2 leaves and a bud. Correct.
Nice.
You got it. Man.
Hey.
Yeah, 2 leaves and a bud. And so, people have to collect between 16 and 20 kilograms of tea every day, the pickers. And so he would be the one to say, oh, this is good. Okay, let's just go. But he was also a man of character. He was just a man that was known for his generosity and kindness and compassion. And his whole village, he worked in the Yadin side estate in Kotagala in Hatton. And people knew him. He had a legacy there. And so I had the privilege of getting to know my grandfather too. He passed away when I was about 10 years old. But being in a new country in the States, learning about tea, learning about chai, and also having this kind of family connection to me was just like, I didn't think of this as a coincidence. I was like, man, there's something here. And so I started to really, think about tea a little bit more. And then I used tea as a way to just connect with people online. So there was this duet feature on TikTok. It's still there. It's like a big deal, where you have the screens one by one. Some videos would happen on the right side, and then somebody would duet or react to it.
Yeah.
And during the time in 2021, the duet feature was used to just really rant on somebody else and demonize and just dog on somebody else what they were doing. And so I was like, okay, let me try something different.
Yeah.
And so people would make chai and they would tag me.
Huh?
And I would duet the video and I'm like, oh, maybe do this instead. That's good job. Way to go. It's awesome. Just like a lot of love bombing.
Yeah.
It's like an interest. I was like, man, this is really cool that you're making tea. So I was really taken by that.
Nice.
But then the comments were interesting. They were like, man, you're the pastor that I never had. You're the brother that I never had. I really feel like I can share stuff with you. I'm just like, man, this is crazy how you're connecting with just a simple act of just connecting with somebody online.
Kindness goes a long way.
Kindness goes such a long way, especially in online spaces where there's just so much vitriol and division and demonization and all of that. And so my DMs started to flood, and then the people found out that I was Christian, that I'm a pastor, and then the theological questions started to come in. And so just this became like a community where people were like, all right, let's just talk to this guy about stuff, life and meaning. And so, we had slowly built a community of people who cared about living a meaningful life and also, brewing a cup of chai.
I'm a Christian as well,
Mm-hmm.
and so has been a Christian online. And in this, it was an interesting time to watch how people that were of faith, uh, people, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people with faith also faced a lot of like backlash as well for having faith. What was your experiences like being very proud of your Christian upbringing and faith online?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I deconstructed a lot during that time. And deconstruction, again, just to unpack what that means, is it's a word typically used to refer to the process of rearranging your belief system and kind of trying to figure out where everything fits. Um, and it also is a revisiting of the things that you thought were true and all. So I was going through that process because of all the conversations that I was having with people who historically the church has been like, no, church is not for them or shouldn't be for those type of people.
Right.
And so, I kind of grew up in would call it maybe a conservative Christian tradition. And there's so many good things about that.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I had to wrestle with was like this us versus them
Right.
kind of attitude, which I know you know as well. And so I was having conversations with people who would never step into a local church, but I learned so much from them. To give you a really quick story, really fast.
Absolutely.
I get a DM on Instagram. Say, are you Adventist? So I'm a Seventh-day Adventist Christian.
Okay.
So it's a denomination within Christianity, within the Protestant kind of group. So are you Adventist? In full all caps, question mark, question mark, question mark. I'm like, yes, I am an Adventist. It's like, I am shocked. All caps, question mark, question mark, question mark, and exclamation mark. I was like, well, yeah, sometimes I am too, that's what I thought. So essentially, this person was like, I heard about you from this podcast,
right,
and I was shocked that you're Adventist because I am an ex-Christian, and I was so shocked to hear a Seventh-day Adventist pastor being referenced in this podcast. Now I'm curious because I can't remember a podcast that I appeared in the last couple of days or weeks. I was like, what podcast are you talking about?
Right.
So she said, send you a link, listen to it, but because you're an Adventist pastor, you would not listen to this episode. So jump to this timestamp and then start listening. You best believe I'm going to listen to the whole podcast.
As you should.
As I should.
Naturally.
Right? Naturally.
Curiosity.
And so I'm listening to it, and I quickly realized why she was shocked, because it was a podcast on witchcraft. It was a podcast led by two millennial women, and 5 seasons, 6 seasons into it, every episode is a deep dive into a specific practice of witchcraft or the occult. And it was fascinating stuff. I'm like, oh wow, this is some really it's like woke witches,
super cool.
Yeah, super cool. They all care about the earth and all that stuff. They're not like devil, Trump. None of that. It's like woke witches, bro. I've never heard this. I didn't know you guys had denominations. Like, this is crazy. And and then towards the end of that episode, there was this girl, one of the co-hosts. I say, hey, I just want to talk to you about this person that I was met on TikTok. His name goes by Kevin Wilson, and he makes chai. And, it's like, and then she goes on to just really like glaze me, bro. Like, talk about, oh, he's so good, this and that. He's so meaningful. Yeah. I just love his stuff. Kevin, if you're listening to this, I just want you to know, thank you. You're doing an amazing job. Yeah. You love stuff. You love your things. A Christian pastor just got endorsed by a witch on a podcast on witchcraft. And so I got on a Zoom call with them, and it's like, why would you talk about me like that? Because you know my beliefs, and I know yours. Yeah. And yet you would be willing to endorse somebody's lifestyle. Yes. We use that phrase all the time in Christian circles. Yeah. Why would you do that? Yeah. And then just don't come to find out that they grew up Christian, but they were marginalized by Christians, and they were mistreated by things. But they found hope in witchcraft and in just the traditions and the routines. That's just one conversation, man, of like so many conversations that I had. And I kind of developed this sensitivity towards the other. Someone said, like, sometimes there's no hate like Christian love. It's just provocative. It's just such a kind of it hurts as believers. Like, there's sometimes no hate like Christian love. In other words, they're saying sometimes when Christians go and show love, it doesn't come across as love. It comes across as something completely else. It comes across as dogma or domination or oppression or whatever it is. And so I took it upon myself to be a small little alternative
Yeah.
to that narrative, and
Yeah.
and it kind of contextualize the way of Jesus in a meaningful way to people.
I'd like to think of Christianity like in the West is a lot different to the Christianity that some of us might have known in the East. When you look at countries like Sri Lanka, there's some churches that you would have, a Muslim, a Hindu, and a Buddhist all go to church together. Nobody's asked to convert. People just come and celebrate Jesus. And I feel like there's beauty in that. And I feel like the religious system in America is what deters people away from it, right? It's just like you said, it's just creating these little circles that if you don't fit in any of this, you're on the outside.
Yeah.
And I think they've hurt people. The church in America has hurt a lot of people, which is why you have what you have today. And so people are looking for that love elsewhere, and they do find it. They do find it. They find it all the time. Like you said, even in witchcraft, you could find love. Yeah. But that's where I think the American church that lost its power is the moment it chose to separate. And I think that comes from the way they think also, right? It's a very binary system. Like in America, you put one seed, it's so fast to grow. It's a scale, like the land is so fertile, like you plant a seed, it'll grow instantly. It's great for business. It's great to scale up things. Whereas I think countries like Sri Lanka, when you plant a seed, it doesn't grow as fast. Sometimes you have to nurture it. You have to look at the weather conditions. You have to look at the soil. There's a lot more complications. And I feel like that's a good thing. People always ask me, and I know this is kind of like going into that space of people ask me like, why Sri Lanka of all places? Like, it's not efficient. What would take you 2 steps in America or elsewhere in the world takes you 15 steps here. Why? And I think there's a beauty to that, right?
100%.
There's a beauty into us kind of ebbing and flowing, figuring out, oh, that didn't work. We're going to go over here. And I feel like that is what our faith-based lifestyle is.
100%.
It's that ebb and flow as opposed to this binary view of like, this is what Christianity is. And I get you. I can see where the hurt is, especially in the West, where people just do not feel like the church is there for them. It has failed them. Yeah. And so they will look elsewhere.
100%. So good. Yeah, and I wrote a book in my I wrote a chapter in my book in The Way of Chai. I talked about the recipe, the concept of a recipe, right? And I tell like I never measure when I make tea.
So good.
Because I remember my grandfather and my party, my grandmother, my mom, my amma, my dada, they would just put stuff together. It was just a symphony of flavor. But there was never like this much. And in the West, the recipe is almost like a power text.
Yeah.
It's like the person who has it has a certain power.
Right.
And then you're like, oh, they have that recipe. I need it. And so it was interesting making chai in the States. People was like, what's the recipe? Where's the recipe? Yeah. I was like, I don't know, but here maybe this might work. And then they try it and it's like, it's not what you said. So but the reason I'm talking about that is like there's something happened to Christianity in the history where it was this recipe where people were just trying to figure it out in community. But then somewhere along the lines, there was some groups of power that said, you know what's happening there is so good and it's so important. Let's try to systematize it. Let's try to institutionalize it. Let's try to make some scaffolding over it so that we can take it and we can capitalize the hell out of this thing. And then it's become what it is now in so many ways, shape or form. And so that's I appreciate your insight about Sri Lanka, where it's not efficient, but in many times it's effective. And you don't have to. And Sri Lanka being here reminds me that you don't have to sacrifice your humanity at the altar of efficiency.
Absolutely.
Sometimes there's more things that are important. There are things that are way more important than the stuff that you can measure, and sometimes you can't even measure the most important things. So
how do you being part of the West, now you are officially an American, if I'm not mistaken?
A couple of years ago.
Congratulations.
Thank you, man.
That's amazing. It's the American dream, and you did it in the right way. You spent your time there. You've done what you need to do, and you are now officially in the land of the free, the true land of freedom. How do you balance out that part of you that is Sri Lankan, your Sri Lankan heritage, with being in the US? Because it does demand a lot. There's like little things, like you said, like your pronunciation of your name, to where are you originally from? Questions like that do tend to come in when you're an immigrant. That immigrant experience is quite common for everyone. What are your thoughts on that? Being a Sri Lankan, but now you're also an American and you've adopted both lands.
Yeah. I will promise to answer that question if you promise to answer the same question you
Absolutely,
asked.
yeah.
Because I want to hear your take as well. As a matter of fact, I was wondering the same thing as I was coming. I was really excited to hear your response to that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's this proverb that I really like from the continent of Africa. It says that the fish knows the beauty of water once it's outside of it.
Yeah.
And there's another story anecdotally shared by, I think, David Foster Wallace in his Kenyan college speech, commencement speech, where he talks about the story about two fish in a fishbowl, and they were just passing each other, and one fish looks at the other fish and is like, "Hey, how's the water today?" And the other fish is like, "What the hell is water?" And it was just kind of this. It was just talking. He's mentioned the story to talk about how, like, our comfort zones, if left unchecked and unobserved, can just become so familiar that we don't realize that this is water.
Right.
So growing up, my water was my Sri Lankanness.
Right.
My water was my Tamilness. My water was my accent and all the things. You know. But then when I came to the States, I had to look at my water and be like, "Ooh, what are these things?"
Yep.
Because I was. So I went through a process when I first got to the States of really coming face to face with who I am. And for the longest time, the story that I told myself was that all these particularities are liabilities and not assets. Because I couldn't fit in. And I wanted to fit in so bad. You know, in my class, I was a theology student. Most of the people in the class did not look like me. Did not sound like me. And so I was just like, nah, I need to fit in. So I would be like, oh, let's just make yourself small. And I think in the last couple of years, through content creation and through the grace of God, honestly, God's been taking me on this journey to help me realize that my story, with all its ups and downs, is not a liability but my greatest asset. So how do I manage these identities, man? I have this phrase, and this phrase, like, I find home in this. Is basically, my home is in the hyphen. My home is in the hyphen. Sri Lankan American. Where is home? Naqib Mahfouz is an Egyptian philosopher. He says, he defines home as home is not where your heart is, but home is where all your attempts to escape cease.
Right.
And I just love that. And for me, that home sense of home is in the hyphen between Sri Lankan and American, Sri Lankan, Middle Eastern. So what does that practically look like? I've had to normalize not fitting in.
Yeah.
Like, that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay to not sound like other people. It's okay to sound like your own. It's okay to find your own path. And I've also realized that there's so much from my culture that I can bring to the West. And then there's so much from the West that I can bring to the East.
Yeah.
There's an ancient poem, English poem called Beowulf, and I think maybe you've heard about
Ooh,
it. Yeah.
I love the story of Beowulf.
The Beowulf, right?
Oh, so good.
So good. So there's this creature, Grendel, right, who's this kind of humanoid monster looking, you know. Yeah. And the Old English word for that monster is Mirkstapa, which loosely translates to border walker. So essentially, this creature does not find its home in either lands.
A monster or a human.
Yeah, but in the in-between, in the liminal space.
Nice.
Right. And this being tries to kind of figure out, okay, how can I help bridge? How can I help other people move between places? I'm here. This is my home. My home is in this kind of homelessness place, this liminal place. And I'm okay with that. And that's how I'm able to, for me personally, like, I find a lot of home in that kind of being comfortable in the liminal space. So that's how I've been able to do it.
I love that.
And take stuff from going back and forth, you know, even as a third culture kid. So yeah, I'm still trying to figure it out, man. Still trying to figure it out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the journey,
Yeah.
right?
But your turn now.
Yeah,
I would love for
absolutely.
you to tell
Yeah,
me.
dude. I think I'd like to attribute what I figured out was like you were saying, like I've lived here in Sri Lanka, I've been to the States, I've grown up there, and I've grown up here. I think mine was a little bit more crazy because we would do like a year here in Sri Lanka and then go back to school in the States. So you're two different like curriculums, different systems. What's cool in Sri Lanka is not cool in the States. What's cool in the States is not cool in Sri Lanka. So like in the States, skipping school, wearing baggy clothes at that time in the early 2004s was freaking cool. All right. Skipping school, getting to fights, cool. Coming to Sri Lanka, being studious, being, nice to the aunties and all the aunties liking you, teachers liking you, being very good at school is considered cool. And so then I'm like, I just got cool in America and now I've got to start all over again. So then you're like torn between the two. And I never really like found that middle ground in school. So school was like traumatic for any kid. Like sometimes most people hold on to like school as like the moments of like, oh, that person said this or this person looked at me this way. And because of my duality, I got the opportunity for me was I learned a lot of my core values from my grandfather. Every time we came back down to Sri Lanka, we spent time with him in his walawa, hunting, reading the Bible. He would twist my ear if I don't read the Bible right. So he was like a proper Jehovah's Witness. Good man. And then whenever we kept going back to the States, like I would hold on to those values, but I'd be sore torn on the outside. I'd just be like, oh, I have to like fit in. But I learned in my adult life, and this happened during a surfing accident. I used to surf quite a bit every time I came back to Sri Lanka. And I had the surf accident. And well, the accident was I basically got caught to a current. But the weird thing is the current never took me out to the ocean. It just kept me in one place for almost 2 hours. And so I'm stuck on this board and like close to the edge of these rocks. And I'm like, what am I to do? If I let go of the board, I'm dead. And these beach boys are telling, some of my friends at the time, oh, that guy's going to die. There's no one who can do anything. And so my buddy, who's a super sweet guy, was like, his moment for Baywatch, took his shirt off. And I could see this little figure running through the beach, jumps in the water, swim towards me, finally making it to me and the board, grabs onto my board, and he says, now what? And I'm like, oh, shit. We're both going to die. God's grace, man. Yeah. Like, for some reason, the clouds like cleared up. The water settled down for just a bit, gave us enough time to like float to this. And in Marissa at that time, there was I don't know if they still have it, but in the Marissa Bay, there's this tree branch that the fishermen had kept to check on the water levels during the season, right? And this branch was like in between rocks. So we grabbed onto that branch. It was you're still at the bay of the ocean. And now we're getting the waters back again. It's slamming us towards like that branch. And we're like, oh my God, it's crazy. I was like, I'm going to let go of the board from my ankle and see where it would find a path. The water would ease up and then the board would find its way back into shore after I let it go. And then I was like, okay, now it's my turn. The water's easing up. It's not as rough anymore. I'm going to go first. So I run onto the beach, and then I look back at my buddy. I said, come on, it's good. It's starting to get rough again. And then while he's coming in, I suddenly feel this huge surge of pain go up my feet. And I sit down on the beach and I look at my feet and they're just covered in black. I'm like, huh? Like, why is it covered in black? And it turns out it was sea urchins that I just walked through an entire bed of sea urchin spines. And before I could have waved my buddy to stop, he's already walked through. And so anyways, long story short, we ended up with like 59 sea urchin spines in each of our feet. And then we had to like get it removed at the hospital. But pain helps you store memory. So I remember that specific time of the ebb and flow. There was a moment to pedal. There was a moment to ease. There was a moment to pedal. There was a moment to ease. And I believe that a lot with the way I do life as well. So when in America, I do as they do. When I'm in Sri Lanka, I retain parts of my Americanism, like my duality here, but I also ease up. So Sri Lanka is a place where I just flow. In America, I'm paddling as fast as I can. So I've learned to kind of just like be in that ebb and flow of life for me, because that is my duality. That is my reality. I can't choose anything outside of that. And so that's how I start to navigate through it.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Like, it's such a good, Yeah, I'm gonna be thinking about that. It's a good reframe.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when I come to Sri Lanka, um, it's it's like the story that I tell myself is like I need to pedal faster
Mm.
because of just this kind of maybe the burden and the pressure that I put on myself to be like, okay, I need to. They're looking at me. I need to figure it out. I need to hold my family together. Like I put so much pressure on myself, and even because I grew up also in the States
Yeah.
by myself,
Yeah.
like I had to kind of figure all these things by myself.
Yeah.
I don't know how I need to make my parents proud, and so I'm still yet to learn how to ease and pedal, and so you're clearly a little farther ahead of
Not
me
at
than
all,
that.
dude.
So
I'm still figuring it out. Like
so-
my wife and I go through this, like through these seasons of just like, what are we doing?
Mm,
Like, is this pretty ridiculous what we're doing? We're living in two places at the same time.
right.
It's either one or the other, right? Like the framework is that in Sri Lanka, it's like, I hear the narrative, and I still do. It's like, okay, you must, graduate school, go abroad, and live a good life there, and then bring your family also. I agree. That's a great way to look at it. But nobody ever told me that, Jason, you could still have part of Sri Lanka with you and you could still come back here.
Yeah.
I had to kind of like figure that out. And like I said, I'm really stubborn with, I want to hold on to it. I believe in Sri Lanka. I believe, like you, I believe that there's a potential here. There's an opportunity here. And if we can just stick it through during these tough times, and
Yeah.
by God, we have a lot of tough times.
Yeah.
And if we can do that, it'll be worth it.
Absolutely.
Because I look at the faces, like these faces in the studio today, and these are faces that wouldn't have had that opportunity to pursue their full time in film if it wasn't for people that actually stayed back and put in the time.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's our duty, and it's important to us, and it's the drive to give back to Sri Lanka in some fashion as best as we can.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm some sort of like saint, like, oh, I'm giving back to my people. I'm putting in my time, just and for selfish reasons also, because I do want to see a film industry grow. I do want to bring back the films of old back into action here, and make Sri Lanka like this amazing destination for film.
So good. Yeah. And then one of the things that I also wanted to ask you is just how do you reconcile your Sri Lankan identity and your American identity? How do you hold those two things in the presence of injustice done by and with people of those nations? Essentially, like how do we balance our identities in the form of injustice? And the context, kind of, let me paint some context behind this question too. So I'm Sri Lankan Tamil, right? My dad is from the Malayga Tamil Makkal, which is the people who work in the tea plantations, that community.
Yep.
And my mom's side thinks she traces her heritage back to Kerala and India. So whenever I say I'm Sri Lankan Tamil, especially in the diaspora, now you have more. There's interesting conversations now.
Yeah.
Because for my brothers and sisters and siblings from Jaffna, when they see me being proud of the fact that I'm Sri Lankan, it's almost like, what are you doing? And I've had to wrestle with that. I would wrestle with it because, like, we have to acknowledge the genocides. We have to acknowledge Mulai Vaikal and all these different things that happened. Yeah. But I'm also like, I love this country. The same thing with America. Like, I am so grateful for what America has done, and for me, like, I believe in the Constitution so much. Yes. I think it's a beautiful document. I think. I believe in the vision of the founding fathers. But there's also the blight of slavery. There's the blight, and then there's also the stuff that's happening, like even right now. There's things that are just going on, and I'm just like, this is not what we signed up for. And like James Baldwin says, he says, I criticize America because I love her. Because I love her. And I criticize Sri Lanka because I love her. So I guess the question is, how do you still retain a sense of pride? A sense of gratitude in the presence of injustice and chaos and oppression?
I think that's such a great question. That's such a beautiful question. When I think about life in general, the life that we're living today, none of this is without bloodshed. When I think about, the countries that talk about, hey, we're doing so well with, zero carbon, we're carbon neutral, and we're carbon negative, and our countries are doing well. We're running on electricity. We've got zero crime here, whatever it is. You look back at the history of those countries, those are the same countries that kind of like pillaged and, did the whole thing. And so they're coming from a place of privilege of like, oh, we don't do that anymore, in my opinion. The same thing with America is like, it's never a perfect country. There's always a sacrifice, whether it was slavery, whether it was bloodshed. There was loss on both sides, even during the Civil War. And you look at Sri Lanka, and it's so much more recent for us. It's a lot more recent for us, but there is a sacrifice. And if we look at it from that lens of sacrifice, and that's a hard thing for a lot of people to take in, right? Because we have personal ties tied into it from both sides. But I do have my friends from the North who are ready to bring a close to that chapter and build together at the same time. I do know my friends who live in the UK and live in Canada that are still hurt by what has happened in the country in the past, and they refuse to let it go. And so in their reality, this will always be an injustice. That is true. I'm not taking that away from them. But then I also look at the people who are actually living here, and they're like, let's get this going. We got work to do. Let's do this together. And that, I feel like, is how we're going to progress moving forward. So that helps me also think like, okay, it's worth investing our time into this country. No country is perfect. None of us are. America's not perfect, far from it. But like you said, the foundation, the idea of it is beautiful. Yeah. Sri Lanka does have a beautiful foundation. We just have to find it again and see what it is, because we are a very old country. We've lost the plot so many times, far more than any other country, I'm sure. We're 3,000 years, 3,000 years before Christ or something like that. We're so old. How many times have we screwed up? I'm sure there's a way for us to get through it. Yeah. And it's a lot of, this is where our faith comes in. 100%. Is even during the economic crisis, a lot of people asked, what are you still doing here? Companies are downsizing. They're letting go people. We stuck through it. We chose not to let anybody go. We stuck through it. We made sure we gave our word, and we kept people's jobs, and we stuck it through. The company survived. And we actually, if anything, we actually did far better during the economic crisis than any other time. All because I would attribute it to faith in God. And yeah, man, I just think it's just how we choose to see it. If we have to go back, sometimes even go further back to see really where the foundations of our homelands are, both countries. So
yeah, that reminds me of, I really like what you said about beauty there, because this reminds me of one of my favorite theologians, that Japanese theologian Makoto Fujimura, who defines reconciliation as beauty plus justice. Love that. Reconciliation is beauty plus justice. Too often reconciliation, when you talk about reconciliation, this idea of kind of bringing people together, bringing groups together, bridging the gaps, you just talk about justice. It's like, who's right, who's wrong, and how do you fix it? Let's just talk about the morality of it all. 100% important, extremely important. Yeah. But there's this beauty side to it. That's when art comes in. That's when conversation comes in. That's when community comes in. That's when joy comes in. And just feeling all these just when those things happen, when you ally beauty and justice, beautiful things can happen. Bridges can be built. Absolutely. And that's what I try to do, and that's what I see you doing with your art. And I'm a huge fan of the work that you're trying to do as well. Yeah. But in order to step into that space requires a ton of humility, a ton of curiosity, a ton of like, I don't know, I don't know the things that I don't know. Yeah. And so like an open-handedness about things, which is hard to come by, but that's the work that needs to be done.
Absolutely. I was gonna say, there was a moment in time where I thought Sri Lanka might never fix its problems of the past. And then I see these articles coming out of like cases from 2014 where justice is being served. And I'm like, oh, you know, there is hope in some level. There are, like, if you just can keep holding on to it and not for, obviously there are people are doing the good work and not forgetting. I don't think that's ever a thing that you should never forget. You should always learn from your lessons of past and never forget it. But I do think, I do believe that there's justice around the corner for everyone who has felt the repercussions from war to, you know, injustice even through the economy. I feel like that justice is coming.
It's coming. Beautiful. I like the hopefulness.
It's worth the wait.
It's worth the wait.
Yeah.
Yes.
But in the meantime, I think it's what we do with that time. I'm just going to quote Gandalf, what we do with the time that is given to us.
Yeah,
right?
I'm looking at your cup right now. That's is that what is that a Silmarillion?
Well,
Lord Jason
yeah.
is crazy.
I didn't get it. I swear to God. There was a Christmas party, and then the team got me Lord Jason because I always quote Lord of the Rings at the office.
Okay.
And it gets annoying for them sometimes. Okay. But I guess it was a gift. So I really love this mug.
Beautiful. Amazing.
So the CEO of Chai, that book came out in 2023.
Yeah, The Way of Chai. Yeah.
The Way of Chai.
Right.
And I think a lot of people were able to bridge that gap that you were talking about of the two different worlds. Of you're bringing your Christian values and you're bringing something like chai. What are your future plans of bridging that gap further? I know you're not doing it like super intentionally, like, oh, I want to bring people together. You're doing it because you love what you do. Mm-hmm. But walk me through what your future plans are together.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, you know, if you were to tell me that one day I'll make a cup of chai and all these things would happen, I would not have believed you. Like it's for, I mean, I look at all the things that have happened so far with just immense gratitude. Mm-hmm. I'm just so grateful to God and grateful for the people who have allowed these stories into their lives. Mm-hmm. So there's the foundation of gratitude. Moving forward, I'm trying to balance a sense of possibility. Like, I don't know what's going to happen, with like some sense of intentionality. And the intentionality piece comes from a couple of things that have been successful so far in helping bridge these gaps so far. So we're doing, last year we started with the cross-culture tours, which is essentially a 10-day, 11-day excursion tour of the entire island of Sri Lanka, where we are accomplishing three things. It's a tour for that obviously has a recreational component to it. People are having good fun. They're seeing the island. Then there's also a cross-cultural communication piece to it, where they're actually having conversations, cross-cultural conversations. Not just amongst themselves. We facilitate those conversations, but also they're actually having local people talking to locals and trying to really get to know the culture a little bit. So it's not just about, hey, let's just go to Sigiriya and like see all the stuff and go back home. It's like, no, let's talk to the guides and let's talk to the locals. Mm-hmm. Let's go to the villages and actually have conversations with people. And the reason why we're able to do that is because I'm there as a bridge. Yeah. Like, I'm just there to kind of be like, hey, this is what they're saying. Nice. Hey, what are you saying? Okay, this is what they mean. So I'm kind of translating back and forth. And so that's been a really gratifying role for me. The third thing is service. Every time we go on the tour, we actually want to contribute to a project that contributes to the Malay Makal community in the tea plantations. And so last year we completely renovated a school in the Gartmore Tamil Vidyalayam in Muskelia. This year
beautiful area. I love
gorgeous.
Muskelia. Yeah,
just gorgeous. Getting there is it's an expedition. It's really crazy, but it's so worth it. I mean, the people are so warm, so nice. And then this year we actually built a computer lab. So we actually give 6 computer labs to a region that has never had computers in their school, but ever.
Wow.
Yeah, but also these are the only computers in the whole region for miles and for kilometers. And so people are just like, this is amazing. And so we also funded a full-time position for a computer teacher there in that school as well.
Amazing.
And so we just finished the tour a couple of days ago, and man, the stories of the people who came here, they were like, I just came for Sri Lanka, just to see Sri Lanka, and like, I know I trust you, and so we wanted to come there. but I didn't expect my worldview to be changed. Like I didn't expect my beliefs to be challenged. I didn't expect my values to be reorganized.
So good.
I didn't expect for me to deconstruct some of the beliefs that I had about the other, whoever the other is. Bruh,
Yeah.
that's what we're here for, bro.
Yeah.
You know? And so again, when we take people from their comfort zone to another place and then put them through an experience with other people,
Yeah.
we're just creating spaces for that.
Yeah.
And what better place to do that in Sri Lanka?
Yeah.
There's such beauty in beautiful intercultural communications, beautiful interfaith communities that are happening. Americans were telling me, wait, so the Buddhists don't fight with the Hindus and the Muslims, and like the politics don't divide people. I was like, yeah, well, of course, yeah, but people just exist. They're human first, and they're Sri Lankan second, and then they're everything else third. You know, and it's this beautiful thing. And so they're taking all these things back. So on the one hand, that's cross-culture tours. We're going to keep doing that every year as a way to give back to the community.
Absolutely.
And then the other thing is to host what I call live chai experiences.
Okay.
So that's in the States. I do that where I make chai live.
Yeah.
And I do a talk based on the concepts of the book.
Nice.
And everybody at the end will get to try a cup of chai.
Do you do this on the road, or are you in Portland most of the time?
I try to do it on the road.
Okay.
But I'm also a full-time pastor at a local
Right.
church, so I don't get to go out to do too much of this.
It's like, where's our pastor traveling?
Yeah.
Again?
Again, exactly. So I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to balance that. But every time I've done that, people have just been like, "Yo, this was really cool." Like, you know, you talked about empathy and justice and all these different things, and through tea and people, it's a non-threatening environment where we can have these conversations. And so those are the things, and the content, of course, cross-culture Kev, just the stuff that I'm doing online, storytelling. Yeah. I also believe this one more thing about storytelling. I had a question for you about this.
Yeah.
I totally believe that art plus story equals trust. So art plus story equals trust. In other words, when you have your creative work, whatever you do, whether it's filmmaking, whether it's storytelling, whether it's chai making, whether it's video producing, podcast editing, art, and then you infuse that with who you are and who else you are, all the different hyphens that make up who you are, that builds trust between you and the people who are consuming the art. So that's something that I try to. So it's a guiding philosophy that I have in the stuff that I do. So
I agree. I don't disagree with you at all. I think it's one of the most powerful tools what you just explained, and I don't think a lot of people know what that is, because it can be used in both ways. It can be used for good, and then it can also be used, as we all know, what happened in the 1930s. Also, an artist that was very good at storytelling, persuading an entire nation, right? So my thing is, it's such a powerful tool. It's so important to use it. But I can't believe some guy in Germany used it so many years ago, right? Which, again, if anybody knows how to use these tools, you can push it. And that's why we're so confused about the world. Why is somebody like thinking like this? Why are they so like sure of what they're talking about? And why are we so sure of what we're talking about? Is because that fusion of art and storytelling has been infused into our lives, and it has come and seeped in and stuck somewhere in here and kind of placed a little part of it into us, that it frames how we think. And I constantly love seeing new perspective, because I'm never stuck in one way anymore. Yes, I do have my foundation of Christ is King, and it is the way of life for me. But that doesn't mean that I don't drink. That doesn't mean that I don't smoke. That doesn't mean that I don't swear. I'm still open to being human all of the time, and willing to fix those things over time, you know, or maybe it might not even need fixing. I don't know.
Yeah, because that it made me think about, again, somebody talked about this thing called plumbing theology. Okay. So essentially, it's the idea that when you do theology, you're doing it only to fix things and fix what's broken. So you don't have a relationship with the plumber. You call the plumber when you need him, right, or her or them. And so so a lot of people approach faith in Christianity like that. It's right. Like, yo, I'm going to go to Jesus when I need this. Or if God is like a vending machine, a cosmic butler, right?
Cosmic butler.
Yeah, it's like, hey, I'm stuck, bro. Like, help me. I'm caught in this surf. You know, help me. You know? And God is there to help us. Yeah. But again, what if we looked at theology and faith as not something that we need to fix, but just to say, hey, this is a science. This is just an adventure. Like, we're trying to figure this thing out. It's an experimental... It's a laboratory. I like to say like the church. People say the church is a hospital for sinners. There's this phrase that just Christians like to throw out. It's a hospital for sinners, and then somebody else will say, "Yeah, church is maybe a museum for saints." It's like neither. I think the church is supposed to be a laboratory of love.
Yeah.
Where we learn to experiment.
So good.
The ways in which we can love and reconcile ourselves with other people and really try to figure out the formula for our ultimate existence.
So good.
And so that's why we're here right now.
Laboratory of love. That's so cool. I love that. That's such a good one. How are you staying grounded in your values as you're growing digitally? Because I know the algorithm calls you to do certain things. How do you navigate through that?
Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. I mean, you're both in. I don't know if you're chronically online. I'm chronically online.
I just started actually. I'm starting to learn a lot. I'm just like, whoa.
Yeah, there's a lot. I don't know, man. Again, I'm trying to figure this out, but a couple of things. Number one, people only choose to see what I choose to show them. And just because they say something doesn't mean that they are making an indictment on who I am and my whole identity.
Right.
And so I've had to kind of distance myself from perception. It's been a hard thing, just because if they comment on something, if that doesn't mean that they are reducing my humanity or complimenting all of who I am. I mean, sometimes it's actually a reflection of their person or where they are. So if it's a hate comment or whatever it is, so I'm like, okay, man, that's you took your time instead of being kind and just even ignoring. You took the time to actually write that. Like, I'm so sorry for you. Sometimes I like pray for them, like, yo, God bless you. But so that's on an existential level. But then, I'm, to be honest with you, man, like I'm more and more just getting disenfranchised by social media and just being online. Like, I obviously see the benefits and the beauty of it.
Yeah.
And but like anything, I think it's just a tool. It's a powerful tool, and it's how you use it.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to use it more and more to maybe like the next rung of this exploration is to create more in person, IRL, like in real life experiences.
I love that.
Yeah. So more chai experiences, more meetups, more gatherings, and see where that takes. But it's if I usually tell people, if you don't know why you're on social media, like, you probably shouldn't be on it, like 100%, because people use that as a multi-tool. It's like, oh, it's a tool for like everything, but it's not, and when you're using social media as just a way to consume, like, it's gonna eat you up alive. And but if you see it as a way to be like, okay, I have a story to share. There's certain problems that I think I can address with my unique gifting and my calling and my vocation. And I also know the people that I want to talk to, and I want to use this as a way to meet them and kind of have that focus. And then that is somewhat helpful moving forward. Yeah.
I love that. My last question to you. With all of these tours, with all of that you're doing, do you see yourself targeting our diaspora to give Sri Lanka another chance and come back and see what they can do here and invest back into their homeland? There are some that are already come. They've come back. Yeah. They're putting some time back in. But I do think it's only together, like if we all come back and do it together, that we'll be able to actually bring this country into a place.
Yeah.
Into a good place.
Yeah. I think that's what's been happening, even though I did not intend that as like a reason. Like, I didn't go into cross-culture tours. I didn't do any of this to be like, I don't want everybody to come back to Sri Lanka. Because to be honest with you, just be really honest with you, I don't like, and I'm still I'm still hurt by the way this country has treated groups of people in this country.
Absolutely.
There's things. There's been still silence from people in power, and just still people need to apologize for stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Reconciliation still needs to take place. And so I see it.
Mm.
But the love and the gratitude I have for the people in this place and for the land, I think is a little bit more powerful than the pain that I feel about of the injustice.
Yeah.
And I'm not minimizing the other. So yes, I would love for people to come back, but I would like for them to come back on their own terms. Like you do you,
Process.
bro.
Yeah.
You process. But if someone is listening to this and you're a diaspora Lankan, like you've left the country, you're listening to this, I don't know, maybe in Europe or the States or wherever, you're not in Sri Lanka anymore, and maybe for the first time you're just like, I don't know, and I don't care, or like I've left all of this. I do think for someone like you, if you were to take the risk of intimacy, if you were to take the risk of just like opening up yourself just a little bit to see like, hey, maybe there are things that I don't know. Just come back to the land on your own terms and just sit with it. Just go, take some time by yourself. Walk the tea plantations.
Yeah.
Like go to Sigiri by yourself. Like solo travel this thing. Like just go and just get your own details. Talk to the locals. And I'm not gonna tell you what I want you to believe, because that's your experience. But I think you owe it to yourself to reconstruct and deconstruct on your own terms, and to do yourself the service of emancipating yourself from the perception of others about the country. Like write your own story, like write your own narrative. So you come back. Give you a quick example of this. Last year we did the tour.
Yeah.
There was this guy, like I will call him Bob. Okay. So Bob came. Bob is never been to Sri Lanka before. However, his dad is Sinhalese, mom is Jaffna Tamil. Born and raised in Virginia and then in California. Never stepped into this Sri Lanka before, right? He's married, 3 kids, and he found out that I was coming to Sri Lanka, and he said, I want to go visit, because I have so many stories. He in the States, he asked me a question. It's like, hey Kevin, what does it mean to be Sri Lankan? It's like, what does it mean to be Sri Lankan? I don't like what's the question? And such a holy question, such a sacred question. And he was asking me because it's like, I look like this, I look like you, but I just don't know. I don't have the raw material. I don't have the data to piece and come up with this identity. And so I was like, yo, come with me to Sri Lanka. Let's go. Bro, every place he visited, he was just overwhelmed that he just broke down at every turn. Broke down. Literally just like, I just can't handle this. Like, I thought this was this. Like I just learned this history about the genocides. Like I just learned about the Sri Lankan army, or I just learned this. Like there's so much right now. I just don't know what to do. But there's so many things. And at the end of the trip, he was just like, I can never be the same again.
Yeah.
On his own terms. So if you're listening to this, come back on your own terms and have an open mind. You make your decisions. But allow yourself to be porous. Allow your mind to be porous. Allow your heart to be porous, and you will be changed, for sure.
Man, that's like a really cool call out. That's like freaking Optimus Prime reaching out to all the Autobots, dude. Seriously, that's like powerful stuff.
Curry butts, Kotu butts. Bring
Come back. That's awesome, dude.
Shorty, it's available for you. Come.
Yeah. Dude, I love Sri Lankan food. It's not the healthiest, but I love it.
It's great.
Thank you for being here. I appreciate your time. This has been freaking awesome. You were so cool. And it's just awesome to have you here in Sri Lanka and at the studio here. And just to like talk life, man.
Bro, thank you. And thank you for the work that you're doing. Also, congratulations on your Emmy. Bro, what? Wow. That's crazy.
Thank you.
You put us on the map, and I just love how you represent us with all your, like you said, the duality of who we are. We haven't even talked about our marriages, because that is a core point in how we process our dualities.
That is so true.
That talk about third spaces.
Yeah,
like our partners can be third spaces for us to really or third people.
Yeah,
for us to really process our cultural
Yeah.
gaps and things like that.
Your wife is American.
She's American, but she's Cuban Chilean.
Oh, so many cultures in there.
So many. So when we have kids, we'll have Lankan chili cubes.
That's great.
Yeah. So, and your
Yeah.
wife,
She is a Korean American. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So,
Yes,
but yeah, I mean, Christ is at the center of our relationship, and
Amen.
it's been great. It's
Beautiful.
been really, really good.
Yeah.
Navigating through a lot of stuff, given that we like live apart most of the time, given the 2 different countries, but it's been good. It's been a interesting last few years.
Yep.
When you have to grow, you have to grow. So, but cool. Thank
Awesome,
you again.
bro.
I appreciate
you,
it,
bro.
man. Appreciate your time. And we did not drink chai. I was drinking coffee. I think water.
Water on this side. Yep.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Awesome.